Wall Street waking up a little more optimistic today after Friday's sharp sell-off, driven largely by renewed tariff threats against China. Stock futures are bouncing back. The shift comes after President Trump suggested he might not go through with a massive increase of tariffs after all. And with a new peace treaty in the Middle East calming some global tensions, investors seem hopeful for now. Gerson Gibbs is the senior managing partner at Bellick Capital and a former financial regulator who once oversaw firms like JP Morgan Chase and UBS, and he joins us this morning. Gerson, always good to have you on. Good morning, sir.
Pleasure being on, Ken. How are you?
You bet, doing great. This, I'm sure a lot of investors were very on edge between tariffs and Middle East. Investors don't like uncertainty, right? So, is this now the start of a real recovery or more of a temporary reaction to President Trump's comments?
I think it's a combination of the two. I think if this is like deja vu, we're experiencing this all over again with the threats, and the response is no different than it was in April. So I believe that it was just a little bit of shell shock. However, we have been seeing upticks in the market. So I don't see this lasting for too long. The shell shock and the drop in the market.
I mean, the president said on Friday, I guess it was, that he talked about he may have to hike tariffs to 150 or 160% with China. But it almost feels like now they're trying to see who'll call whose bluff first. Are you guessing that?
He's using it as a business strategy and a business approach. I think that the cause of the actual tariffs were that China was going to impose some changes on their rare minerals, which impact a lot of business in the United States. And to respond to that, tariffs were threatened with. Trump, I don't believe Trump wants to raise tariffs. However, it was a direct response to what China did.
And Gershon, something that I only recently found out, I was under the misconception that only China, Indonesia, and a few places like that on Earth have rare earth minerals. I've been corrected. I'm now told everywhere has rare earth minerals. We have them in the United States. It's just that you have
Correct.
to dig up a lot of land to get a little bit of rare earth minerals, and the act of making a mess, we don't want to do that to the environment. And also, I guess China has the processing plants to process that we don't have. But it's not like we don't have them here. If we start opening up our own processing plants, we could solve our own problem. Is that correct?
Absolutely, we can, but again, that's a huge overhaul and something that the United States is not looking to do. And I believe that because of their relationship with China, they weren't intending on doing it. There's been a constant back and forth, beautiful love story between China and America, and I think that this is just part of negotiations in business. You notice that TikTok was handled a couple of weeks prior to that with them. So I believe that this is just China and the United States going back and forth, two very powerful people in power, and this is how they go about handling business.
And I love the way you said that, a beautiful love affair, because I think Trump and Xi get each other. The first thing, people say, how could Trump praise a dictator? China is all about respect, right? It's about showing honor
Correct.
and respect. President Trump always says he's a great guy, he's a wonderful leader. You have to stroke the ego. This guy is in charge of the one of the largest population countries between him and India, one of the largest population countries on planet Earth, and he is firmly in charge. We don't get anywhere by criticizing him, right? So it's about showing
Correct.
respect and playing it's like a delicate dance. So now let's shift gears a little to the Middle East. That new peace deal in the works. It's a very fragile ceasefire right now. How is that helping to calm the markets?
Well, I think that just in general, positive headlines and positive information about the current administration is always helpful to the markets. In addition, just in the Middle East, we do a lot of business in the Middle East with relation to oil. I think that might change the markets up a little bit, bring some positive uptick to the markets. And again, as I was mentioning, it's a lot of negative press and a lot of negative news around this current administration. And I think that has a direct impact on the market. But because of this particular scenario and this peace treaty that he was able to assist with, I think that it brings a lot of positive news and in return is going to help the markets.
Yeah, I'm with you 100%, 100% on that. What if you're an average investor and and you have a few dollars to invest right now, what do you do right now? Is this the time to get into the market, or do you hold back? What would you do?
I would actually, if you're already in the market, I will hold on to whatever I'm invested in. If I'm not in the market, I think it's a very good time to get into the markets. If we just look at history of the year, this year when tariffs were initially announced, a lot of stocks and a lot of companies dropped in value, which is a perfect opportunity to get in the market because then we've seen it rebound almost immediately. The S&Ps are up about 12% in the year. So I think this is a good point with the negative press around China potentially having increased tariffs. Stocks are dropping a little bit, and I think it's a good time to jump in. But if you're already in, I'll say hold on to it because there should be about a 10% correction before the year is out.
The man knows his stuff. Gerson Gibbs is the senior managing partner of Bellick Capital, a former financial regulator, once oversaw firms like JP Morgan Chase and UBS. The advice is worth a fortune, so be fortunate. Know that we are fortunate to have you on, and I always appreciate every minute you come on the air with us. Gerson, thank you so much.
Thank you so much, Ken. It's always a pleasure.